The devastating secret, Maid saves dying CEO, but craves her nightly shocking truth revealed. The clock struck midnight, echoing ominously through the high-rise glass walls of the corporate mansion. Inside, the breath of life hung by a thread. CEO William Blackwell lay sprawled out on the plush carpet, a mere shadow of the man he once was. His body was cold, glazed over with a sheen of sweat, breathing shallow and erratic. Each heartbeat was a desperate plea. The prestigious he was renowned for had crumbled under pressure, and no one, not even the most talented doctors, could save him now. Or so they thought then. She entered. Maria, the maid with the soft, fragile smile and eyes that sparkled with untold secrets. A gust of wind whooshed through the open window, catching her apron as she rushed to his side. The room filled with an electric tension. Maria, with her nimble fingers, cradled William's head, her heart pounding louder than a drum. It was said she had a gift, an inexplicable connection to life and death. And tonight, that whispered rumor would be tested. As she leaned in, time seemed to halt. The air grew thick, every breath a silent urge, a longing to be more than just a mere maid. A twist of fate had pushed her to this moment, and now, she would either save him or watch him slip away forever. She placed her palm on his chest, feeling the weak but persistent rhythm that pulsed beneath her touch. The tension was a knot in her stomach. What if she couldn't do it? What if her gift wasn't enough? Maria closed her eyes tightly, summoning all her willpower. And when she opened them, a glimmer of determination shone through. She whispered a prayer, a wish on the wings of a desperate hope. The seconds stretched like elastic. Would the universe answer her call? Just then, they both gasped as her hand ignited with warmth, filling the room with an otherworldly glow. It was an unmistakable spark. His heart began to beat stronger, more fervently. But what was this pull she felt towards him? As William's condition stabilized, a flicker of hunger ignited in her. Was it a hunger for power, for love, or something darker? She tried to shake the thought, yet it lingered. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Eyes now alive, William stared at her, confusion mingling with gratitude. The intensity of that moment crackled. But Maria felt it in her bones. The stakes had changed. This was going to be more than just a job. The secret she craved, coupled with the weird connection they shared, twisted her heart. What had she unleashed? The thought left her breathless, hanging in the charged atmosphere. Suddenly, the door creaked open. A figure loomed, stepping into the light. It was Amanda, William's business partner, her face washed with panic. What happened? I just got the call. Her voice rose, trembling. Maria's heart raced. She turned sharply, caught between the worlds of life, death, and unexpected revelation. What would Amanda uncover tonight? Was the truth lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to explode? Maria's breath caught as Amanda stood at the threshold, her eyes darting between William's revitalized form and the eerie glow surrounding Maria's hand. The tension thickened. It felt as if the very air crackled with unanswered questions. What did you do? Amanda's voice sliced through the silence, urgent and accusatory. I saved him, Maria stuttered, the weight of her actions crashing down on her. Her mind raced, the truth felt like a live wire, thrumming with danger. William blinked, his gaze slowly clearing. The first thing he noticed was Amanda. What happened? His voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. Maria, explain. Amanda's gaze was pinned to Maria, the intensity redoubling as anxiety morphed into something sharper, more predatory. I'm not entirely sure, Maria replied, the words tumbling out in a panic. I just felt this overwhelming connection. It was like something beyond me pushed me to act. But you're just the maid. Amanda shot back, an incredulous laugh escaping her lips. What do you know about saving lives? Maria felt the sting of those words, anger bubbling within. She was more than just a maid, but how could she explain the currents that flowed between her and William? Maybe there was more to our paths crossing than you realize, she challenged. Meeting Amanda's steel gaze, William pushed himself up slowly, fighting against the remnants of weakness. His eyes searched Maria's, a dawning realization flickering within them. What do you mean? What are you saying? Maria hesitated, the truth gripping her heart. What was this connection? It was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. I think I have a gift, William. Something you might never understand, she admitted quietly, the words barely escaping her lips. A silence fell over them, heavy and suffocating. Amanda opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Disbelief lingered in the air, thick as fog. You really believe this? Amanda finally asked, her disbelief wavering into something like unease. I felt what I felt. I can't explain it. Maria cried out, her voice tinged with desperation. One moment, you're dying, the next, alive because of me. I need to know. William's voice rumbled softly, weighty with implication. What does this mean for us, Maria? The question hung between them, fraught with uncertainty, but before she could answer, a loud crash erupted from the hallway, piercing the fragile air. They all turned abruptly, hearts racing as shadows moved beyond the doorway, drawing closer. It sent a jolt of fear racing down Maria's spine. What was happening now? What was that? William's expression shifted from confusion to alarm. We have to move. Amanda urged, her instinct taking hold as she stepped toward the door. We're not safe here. Someone knows. Maria's mind swirled, the potential for chaos unfurling like a dark flower in her heart. Whatever she had awakened shifted the balance, and now danger loomed, threatening to consume them. Would all that she achieved be swept away in this torrent? As they huddled together, the shadows loomed larger, ominous shapes flickering in the dim light. A chilling realization struck Maria. Whatever entity she had invoked, whatever dark force she had connected with, was not finished with them yet. Get out! She shouted suddenly, her voice steady with resolve. Now! But before they could react, a figure emerged from the darkness, its intentions unmistakable. And with it came the terrifying question, had Maria just saved William, or had she summoned something far worse? End of chapter. The figure stepped into the dim light, and the shadows scattered like startled birds. Maria's heart raced as she recognized the silhouette. It was Mr. Hawthorne, the mansion's owner, his expression a mask of fury interwoven with something darker, something pulsing with unbridled power. What have you done? He demanded, his voice a low growl that rattled the fine china. William pushed himself to his feet, eyes locked on the imposing figure. She saved me, Hawthorne. I was silence. Mr. Hawthorne boomed, slicing through William's explanation like a knife. You think you can meddle in things you don't understand? You have no idea what you're dealing with, girl. His gaze fixed on Maria, each word like a strike from a hammer against her chest. Maria felt the air grow heavy, as if gravity were pulling her down. She glanced at William, whose waning strength was replaced by raw determination. I don't have to explain myself to you, she shot back, a daring spark igniting within her. I'm not just a maid. The room pulsed with tension, an unseen force swirling around them, thick enough to taste. Amanda, wide-eyed and trembling, retreated into the shadows, her instincts screaming for survival. We need to leave. Now. She whispered frantically. No. William insisted, stepping slightly in front of Maria, eyes blazing. Not until we know what he wants. Mr. Hawthorne's cracked lips curled into a smirk, a predatory gleam in his eyes. You think you can protect her? You're a fool, William. This is far beyond your grasp. The moment she touched you, she became a target. A chill swept through the room, suffocating. Maria felt the hairs on her arms stand on end. Target? What do you mean? Each word dripped with uncertainty, and the predatory light in Mr. Hawthorne's gaze deepened. Your gift isn't yours alone, he said, leaning closer, as if intent on whispering a dark secret. It's a beacon. A calling, something those who hunger for power will never ignore. You're in danger because of what you did. William's shock morphed into anger. Stop lying. Maria saved my life. Did she truly save you? Hawthorne interjected, his voice suddenly lilting, twisting like a serpent around them. Or did she bind your fate with something far more sinister? There are consequences for tampering with life itself. The blood drained from Maria's face, fear creeping into her veins. What do I do? She breathed, panic clawing at her throat. You must embrace it, he whispered, the smile slipping back across his face. Control it, before it controls you. The shadows at the edges of the room flickered as if responding to his words, growing more restless, as if hungry for something more. Maria felt a pull deep within her, an urge ignited with both exhilaration and dread. No, I won't let you have that power, she murmured, resolving to fight any beast within her. Mr. Hawthorne's laugh rang out, unsettling. It's already a part of you. Soon, you'll realize it's an offering, an invitation to something more. He straightened, casting his eyes across them, like a predator surveying its prey. But first, you will need protection. You may have the power, but it comes at a dreadful price. Before they could even register what those words meant, their surroundings trembled as an unseen force surged toward them. It was palpable, a wave of ancient dread sweeping through the room like a storm. Get out! Amanda screamed, pushing William forward. But Maria felt rooted, torn between the darkness beckoning her and the light still shimmering between her and William. And just as the shadows lunged, something shifted, a crack in the air, a sudden rush of screaming energy. Run! Maria cried, fearful her voice might not carry above the chaos, but what awaited them outside? Uncertainty loomed, a deeper abyss than they had ever imagined. Would they flee into safety, or plunge directly into the heart of horror? More shapes stirred in the darkness, and the thought gripped Maria, every choice would lead them further into peril, or free them. Which path would they take? The moment had come for her to decide. Maria's feet felt like lead as the shadows surged forward, an undulating mass of darkness hungry for something human. Panic clawed at her throat and squeezed her chest. This was beyond her understanding, and she could sense that the others felt it too, the electric charge buzzing in the air, the whisper of imminent danger. William's grip tightened around her wrist, his face a blend of determination and fear. We can't stay here. We're running. His voice, though steady, bore the weight of desperation. But where? Maria managed to snap back, her heart drumming in her ears. A wide glass door stood before them, dark and foreboding. It felt like a portal, a threshold between their current horror and an unknown fate. I don't care. Just trust me. He shouted, adrenaline propelling him forward. With a fierce tug, he pulled her toward the door, the shadows still crackling and spitting around them. Amanda lost her footing in the chaos, a startled cry bursting from her as she stumbled. Maria glanced back, her heart lurching at the sight. No. Amanda. Come on. In the corner of her vision, Mr. Hawthorne stood still, his aura almost majestic against the backdrop of chaos. The shadows coiled around him like serpents, obeying his whims. He was a menace, a master of horrors. Leave the girl. He roared, sending a chilling shiver down Maria's spine. You're only delaying the inevitable. No. Maria couldn't help but scream. It was more primal than reasoned. She felt it in her bones, an unshakable tug toward the darkness that swirled around Hawthorne. His words wrapped around her like silk threads sewn to her very being, creating visions of power, of control, of something more. As William urged her toward the door, she felt her heart teetering between choice and fate, darkness and light. Should she embrace what was calling her? Should she just let it take her? Suddenly, a sharp burst of energy erupted from her, igniting the air like sparks. An instinct she didn't know she had propelled her, and she screamed out, "Stop!" The shadows halted, wavering as if shocked. There was a moment of surreal silence, the room suspended in the breath of fate. Maria's chest heaved, and she didn't know if she was breathing life into the flames of chaos or dousing them with hope, but that hesitation was fleeting. The shadows sensed freedom slipping away and lunged again, a wave crashing against despair. Run! She pressed again, and this time, she was not just echoing fear. She surged forward, pushing through the chaos as William pulled her out the door into the night. The frigid air hit them like a slap, invigorating. Maria gasped. The mansion loomed giant and ominous behind them, dark windows staring down like hollow eyes. "Where do we go?" Amanda panted, fumbling to catch her breath, the frailty of human terror evident in her stance. "Anywhere but here," William said, scanning the horizon as if the answer lay just beyond the tree-line. But even as he said it, dread curled in the pit of Maria's stomach. "Those shadows," Maria started, her thoughts racing back to the chaos. "They're not just shadows," William interrupted, his eyes wide with realization. "They were drawn to you." Her heart plummeted, understanding washing over her. "They're after me. Whatever I did, it's bigger than any of us." "Yes," he said, and there was an urgency in his voice, wild and unsettling. "But we can't stop now. We need to escape together." Far behind, a scream cut through the night, one belonging to no ordinary person. A wail tinged with both despair and rage echoed into the darkness. "Maria! They're coming!" Amanda shrieked, fear cracking her composure. Horrified, Maria turned. The specters were flowing out of the mansion, a multitude of swirling shadows that coalesced into a form, the glimmering image of Mr. Hawthorne, his arms raised high. Maria's heart raced as they took off deeper into the woods, branches clawing at their clothes, branches that felt alive, curious. Was it just fear that spurred her, or was the call of power whispering once more? In the distance, the trees loomed like guardians, holding secrets. Tame and wild. A single thought pierced through the panic: was it time to embrace that dark offering? Each decision carried weight, and she knew there would be no turning back. As they plunged deeper, she could feel the shadows chasing, an unyielding force, making it unclear whether they were the hunters or the hunted. And in that moment, Maria realized the truth: her greatest power was also her most fearsome curse. What choice would she make next? As the night thickened around them, new truths beckoned her deeper into the unknown. Branches whipped against Maria's skin, sharp and biting, but nothing compared to the heat of her racing heart. They sprinted forward, their breaths mingling into a frantic symphony, each step pounding a rhythm of terror. The cold air sliced through her, filling her lungs with urgency. "What if they catch us?" Amanda gasped, glancing back as if the very darkness were reaching out for them. "They won T," William shouted, determination laced with fear. "We're faster than them." But deep inside, Maria sensed a lie. The shadows were not just dark, they were cunning and relentless. She could almost hear their whispers, coaxing her to stop, to turn around and embrace what lay within the mansion's depths. "No!" she yelled, shaking her head violently, forcing the thoughts away. "We need to focus." Yet, with every breath, the specter of Mr. Hawthorne loomed larger in her mind. His eyes had promised power, the thrill of darkness dancing tantalizingly close. It was a siren's call that echoed in her soul, a piece of her that she didn't even know existed. But at what cost? The trees began to thin out, opening into a clearing. Moonlight spilled across the ground like a silver blanket, illuminating the chaos in sharp relief. Maria's eyes darted back to William and Amanda, and as she did, she noticed something flickering behind William's ear, a faint outline of the shadows not far behind. They were closing in. "Keep moving," she urged, her voice rising above the fear. Amanda stumbled and fell, letting out a frantic cry. "Help me!" Maria's heart twisted. No. Not now. She had no choice, she had to make a decision. "Go!" William shouted, his voice tight, gripping Maria's hand in a panic. "Don't look back." But she couldn't leave Amanda. "I won't abandon you." Maria jerked free from William's grasp and turned back. As she reached for Amanda, the shadows surged, shifting and writhing like a living creature. Hawthorne appeared among them, an apparition of wrath. His eyes glowed with a sinister fire as he bellowed, "This ends now." Maria felt the ground tremble beneath her, the air thickening with dread. In that moment, something inside her sparked again an urge to fight back, to wield the very energy she had unleashed before. "Get up, Amanda!" she screamed, a wild idea taking root in her mind, one that felt both foolish and exhilarating. "Maria, we need to go!" William shouted again, fear and anger battling in his voice. But she was already channeling that energy, letting it flow through her, wrapping around her like a cloak. "Listen to me," she called, her tone a mix of command and desperation. "We can't run from this. They're tied to me." "What do you mean?" Amanda panted, eyes wide with confusion, but the shadows roared louder, pressing in. "Just trust me." Maria clenched her fists, and the air crackled. "I can control them." With a sudden jolt, she thrust her arms forward, a wave of light bursting forth, illuminating the clearing. For a brief moment, the shadows hesitated, curling back as if struck by a physical force. William's eyes widened. "What?" "I don't know if I can hold this," Maria cried, but she pushed herself, feeling a rush of heat. The darkness snarled, a cacophony of rage echoing in the night. She felt it, an impossible hunger directly linked to her own turmoil, her own essence. "Now!" she urged, feeling the surge of power mixing with terror. "Run!" William grabbed Amanda's hand and started toward the edge of the clearing, still glancing back at Maria with a mix of admiration and fear. She could see them shadows shifting and adjusting, readying for a counterstrike. "Maria, please!" Amanda wailed, her voice shaking. With a strained cry, Maria prepared for one final push, willing the shadows to withdraw, hoping against hope. Would they listen? Or would they consume her whole? At that moment, she felt a dreadful crackle behind her, prickling her skin. It was a surge of sinister energy, a pull that twisted from within, calling her home to the darkness she had fought against. "No!" she shouted, the word ricocheting against the trees. And then the world exploded into chaos. A blinding flash engulfed the clearing, shadows and light intertwining, as everything around her plunged into utter madness. Was it too late to escape who she truly was? As she battled the impending dark tide, she understood. The real question was whether she would choose to battle it at all. The darkness pulsed, ancient and hungry. Would she embrace her fate or fight against it? And in the heart of that chaos, the shadows loomed, whispering promises of power and control. Could she resist, or would the light snuff out before dawn? The brilliance of the light swirled around Maria like a whirlwind, casting shadows that danced chaotically in response. She felt the energy crackling through her veins, a fierce glow that was both exhilarating and terrifying. All her fears of the dark whispered promises of power that she had never wanted. Around her, the chaos raged. William and Amanda were shadows themselves, their forms blurring into darkness as they ran toward the edge of the clearing, but she could feel their desperation pressing against her heart like a vice. The shadows shifted, closing in, pulsing, eager for the light to fade, eager to consume her. "Maria! Come on!" William's voice pierced through the chaos, but it was distant, swallowed by the night. With every ounce of willpower, she forced herself to focus. The power surged through her, mingling with the fear that threatened to drown her. "No," she cried out, trying to push the shadows back. She didn't want to be trapped by their lies, by Hawthorne's sinister whispers. The ground trembled beneath her as Mr. Hawthorne moved forward, his figure dissected by flickers of light. "You think you can control this, girl? You belong to me." His voice was like ice cutting through her resolve. Yet, Maria stood firm, teeth gritted. "I'll never be yours." In that moment of determination, her voice rang clear, cutting through the dark fog. The shadows recoiled slightly, a testament to her newfound strength. This power was tied to her emotions, and as fear loomed dark like a thundercloud, beyond that, raw anger ignited within her. She channeled that anger. "I am not afraid of you." The words surged through her, reverberating out like a shockwave. The forest echoed with her defiance, a fierce roar through the night. Something shifted in the shadows, confusion sparking within their murky depths. Maria sensed it. They were no longer a single entity, but a tangled mess of fears and desires echoing in disarray. This was her chance. "Amanda. William. Come back." She shouted, her light brightening, pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat, drawing them back to her. William hesitated, glancing over his shoulder, and then steadied himself, his eyes suddenly fierce. "I'm coming." The shadows snarled, as if understanding what she was doing. They pushed back harder this time, convulsing with rage, slick and unnerving. "You think your light can save you?" Hawthorne taunted, his form flickering like a lost memory. "You belong to the darkness." But she refused to be claimed. With a cry that tore from her core, she released her power again, sending a brilliant flare of light that washed over the clearing. The darkness snarled in response. The power sent pulses through Maria, and for a heartbeat, it felt as if the world had stopped. The uninhibited energy thrummed through her, awakening parts of her that she never knew existed, parts that danced dangerously close to embracing the shadows. "Stay strong." She felt herself soaring above the chaos and doubt, unleashing everything she had. Amanda clutched William's hand, eyes wide with fear yet hopeful, and together they bolted back toward her, feet barely touching the ground. The shadows twisted, clawing at the light, hungry for the despair that had been their feast for too long. Maria felt their breath on her skin, cold as steel. She closed her eyes, steadying her heart, drawing her friends closer. On 3. 1, 2. Before she could finish the countdown, a shadow lunged, striking, dark claws reaching toward her. Her eyes snapped open as the explosion of power raspberry swelled within her, and she pushed forward, sending a shockwave into the suffocating darkness, propelling her friends away and grounding them right beside her, but the air thickened. Maria felt a heaviness settle over her. The shadows didn't retreat, they huddled closer, trembling with rage and longing. There was something deeper swirling, a truth lurking just beneath the surface, something she was destined to confront. Suddenly, shapes began forming amidst the shadows, grotesque but familiar. Faces twisted in anguish, haunting. Echoes of her fears and insecurities. "Embrace us, Maria. We are part of you," they whispered seductively, and beneath them, she felt a pang of familiarity strike her. "No!" Maria screamed, her voice shattering the silence. But the shadows only grew stronger, twisting around her. She could feel them pulling her in, dragging her close as if wanting her to join them. They reminded her of every moment she felt like a failure, every second of doubt marred by fear, the very essence of her struggles clawing at her psyche, and then, within that pandemonium, she saw a vision, an image of herself, arms outstretched, accepting the darkness rather than fighting it. Could she truly accept this part of her? As the shadows loomed larger, Maria faced the terrible choice building within her. Would she join them to reclaim power, or would she sever ties and risk losing everything? The clearing swirled around them, each heartbeat echoing louder, drowning her senses in uncertainty. Would the darkness consume her before she could make that choice? With shadows pressing in, Maria was left teetering on the edge of desperation, torn between control and surrender. As the shadows beckoned, ever hungry, a final whisper broke through the fray. Choose wisely. What choice would she make? Would she fight the darkness, or would she embrace it and discover what was hidden within? Each moment ticked away, the air heavy with anticipation, as she stood on the precipice of a devastating revelation. The shadows tightened their grip, swirling like a storm around Maria. She could feel their cold, clammy fingers grasping at her spirit, drawing her closer to a depth she feared to acknowledge. Fear tightened her throat, a choking reminder of everything she didn't wish to confront. The faces twisted in the darkness, whispers of self-doubt and moments of weakness. They were her haunting echoes, beckoning her to yield. "Stop. I won't give in," Maria shouted, but her voice trembled. The shadows pulsed, their hunger growing more insatiable, feeding off her fear. In that moment of strife, she remembered the way William stood by her, the unwavering strength in Amanda's eyes. Her friends. Their bond. Their shared fears. Just as the idea of surrender threatened to swallow her whole, she grasped onto that remembrance, holding it like a lifeline. "I won't let you take me." With a renewed fervor, Maria pushed against the shadowy fingers trying to claw at her heart. The light within her flared. It was ablaze now, a bonfire fueled by raw determination and love for those who had stood with her at her weakest moments. "I am more than this," she proclaimed. The light expanded, pushing the shadows back, parting them like waves on a turbulent sea. William and Amanda, close now, pulled her into a fierce embrace. Together, they formed a circle of protection against the dark, their united strength igniting a relentless force. The shadows shrieked, their cries a cacophony of rage and despair, as they sputtered and flickered around the trio. "Focus," William urged, his voice steady, cutting through the din. "We can't let them take you, Maria." The very air crackled with tension. An invisible push pulled at her insides, threatening to rip apart the connection they shared. A suffocating weight pressed down on them, and the shadows formed a horizon of darkness, whispering promises of acceptance, yet owning her was not what they wanted. They wanted her to believe she was worthless without them, but she was not alone. The warmth of her friends steadied her resolve. "Together," Amanda shouted, her eyes blazing with a fierce light that mirrored Maria's own. "On three, let us make them see." They counted together, their voices rising above the chaos. 1, 2, 3. As if answering a call, Maria released the power she'd been holding, the warmth surging from her core like a cleansing wave, consuming everything in its path. Brilliant light surged forth, a force so brilliant it cut through the shadows like sunlight piercing through storm clouds. For an instant, everything froze. The shadowy forms wavered, momentarily losing their coherence under the intensity of their combined light. But the darkness was cunning. It swirled wildly now, writhing, combining fears into grotesque shapes, trying to claw at the very essence of their unity. "Fight. Don't let them win," Maria shouted, her voice ripping through the silence, igniting a shared courage. But even with their combined strength, doubt seeped in. The voices echoed once more forceful, more familiar. "You are not strong enough, you will always be inadequate." An icy chill engulfed the clearing. Just when she thought they had pushed the darkness back, a darker figure emerged, more solid than before, Mr. Hawthorne. His form loomed larger, shadows swirling around him like a cape. "Did you truly think you could escape, Maria?" he hissed, each word dripping with contempt. "You cannot outrun your fate. You belong to me." Panic gnawed at her heart, but in that moment, she had a choice to make. The power shared with William and Amanda flared brighter, urging her to trust the light instead of fearing the darkness. As Hawthorne advanced, she stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. "I'm done running. I refuse to let you control my life any longer." It all felt like a thunderous clash, the light against the dark, a final standoff as she connected to the strength within, drawing from the memories of doubt and fears to create a furious, unwavering resolve. But then, amidst this chaotic showdown, she felt a sudden fracture in the air, a shift that rippled through the shadows. They hesitated, and for just a moment, she saw something flicker in the depths, an opportunity, perhaps even a secret. Just fragments of images, vague yet compelling. What if there was something more within the shadows? As the shadows condensed, swirling around Hawthorne like a tornado of chaos, she caught her breath. What if she could use this darkness to her advantage? Together, let's uncover the truth. She shouted, not to just William and Amanda but targeting the shadows that clawed at them. The darkness whispered secrets she could barely grasp, hidden truths that tantalized at the edges of her consciousness. Would embracing this part of her empower her or pull her deeper into despair? In this moment teetering on the edge of revelation, Maria stood ready to face the unknown. Would she dare to unravel the deepest secret lurking in the shadows her own? The clearing lit up as battle loomed closer and closer. The air thickened, and darkness whispered sweetly, urging her to step closer towards a fate she never asked for. What did it really mean to embrace the dark? What secrets awaited her? The shadows rumbled, their whispers growing more furious. Maria's heart raced as her mind teetered between the urge to run and the desire to confront. What lay within that darkness? Doubt coiled around her thoughts, but the flicker of light remained a beacon. It pulsed with the shared strength of her friends, urging her deeper into the unknown. Focus on the truth, she called out again, feeling more alive than ever. What if the shadows are hiding something we need to find? Hawthorne's laughter erupted, dark and heavy. Foolish girl. Knowledge of the dark is a death wish. You're not equipped to handle it. Yet he couldn't extinguish her spark. Maria felt its glow radiating from her core, the relentless pulse of courage drumming in her chest. Not only for herself, but for William and Amanda too. They wouldn't stand idly by, lost in the shadows with her. Do you see, Maria? Amanda shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. We can rule the darkness if we face it together. The swirling shadows retreated slightly, reeling from the unity binding them. The darkness seemed to channel into a single point before expanding with renewed vigor, writhing with a menacing energy. What was it hiding? Maria's hands trembled, not from fear, but from anticipation. She reached forward, feeling the shadows crawl against her fingertips. Each touch sent a shiver racing down her spine, fragments of memories and emotions locked away, waiting to be unearthed. Look! She shouted as images materialized, glimpses of her past. The arguments with her parents, the moments of regret and despair surged with the darkness, threatening to pull her under again. They don't define me. I am not my mistakes. Hawthorne snarled, his shadowy visage twisting with anger. You think you can break free? You will only become part of the dark. Accept it, and I could give you power beyond your wildest dreams. No. Maria shouted, voice cracking with determination. You don't own me. She remembered the faces of her friends, their unwavering support. The truth of their bond anchored her, solid and unyielding. The shadows hesitated again, as if weighing something deeper, something Maria could sense lurking behind their chaotic facade. The air hummed with potential, thick as tar, but just beneath it lay a current of resolve. Maria summoned all her strength, intertwining it with the palpable love she felt for her friends. Together, we will break through. At her command, they unleashed their light once more. Colors swirled together, erupting into a fury blinding in its brilliance. The shadows hissed, recoiling, as though caught in a thunderstorm, and then, amidst the swirling chaos, a figure detached from the shadows, an ethereal shape, resembling a younger version of herself. Confusion clouded her mind. Why did this shadow mimic her? That's not possible. She gasped, her breath hitching. Why are you here? The figure echoed her words, voice like glass shattering. Face us, Maria. You're more tied to this power than you know. Your deepest fear feeds the darkness. Glimpses of forgotten memories surged and spilled around her. Each reflection was a mirror, twisting her own experiences into a haunting narrative. Desperation clawed at her as she instinctively shielded her face, but Hawthorne growled in triumph. Yes. Embrace your trauma, Maria. Only then can you harness the true power of the shadows. With a sharp intake of breath, she swayed. Could the darkness be her ally? Or was it really her greatest enemy? But that sliver of uncertainty ignited a deeper resolve. I don't need to be defined by my past. There's strength in understanding where I come from. Maria pressed her heart against the light, forcing the shadows back. But the figure mirrored her, locking them in an eternal dance, a battle that had no clear victor. Each decision felt weighted, pressing against her like a 10-ton stone. Help me! She screamed to William and Amanda, their faces locked in absolute determination. We need to bring these shadows into the light. What if that truth held the key to finally liberating herself? What other secrets would she unearth? The shadows shivered, wanting to reveal their hidden truths even as they clawed to maintain control. As the energy crackled, threatening to break the fabric of their fight, Maria's breath quickened. Would facing her deepest fears open a door to newfound power, or plunge her into darkness once more? What revelations lay in wait, tangled in the shadows? The shadows twisted and convulsed around Maria, pulling at the edges of her mind. The figure that mirrored her took a step closer, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. You cannot escape what you are. It hissed, the voice echoing in her ears like a taunting melody. Each syllable dripped with an ancient rawness that chilled her to the bone. Maria's heart slammed against her ribs. Panic surged. Was this truly a part of her, or just an illusion meant to ensnare her? No. She shouted, forcing her voice through the storm. You don't dictate who I am. I'm not just fragments of my past, I'm more. Tendrils of darkness lashed at her fiercely, the shadows enraged by her defiance. Yet, alongside that chaos, a spark of determination flared brighter within her. William. Amanda. She called, her voice slicing through the tumultuous echoes. They were her foundation, and together they could reclaim what was lost. Hold tight. William shouted. The trio breathed as one, a synchronized rhythm underscoring their intent. They raised their hands, pulling energy from their combined trust and warmth, letting it flow to combat the chilling grip of the shadowy world. The darkness recoiled, rolling back from the strike of their collective light. Threads of color intertwined, rising like a shield. Whispers transformed into anguished screams, clawing at their resolve, but they stood firm, upheld by a greater purpose. Look! Amanda cried, pointing. The shadows are changing. As if in response, a dazzling light burst forth from where the shadows had been gathering. Forms began to crystallize, first waves of fear and regret, then moments of laughter and love. Every fragment was a story, a piece of who Maria had been all along. She gasped, recognizing the beautiful chaos of her life. Embrace it, Maria. William urged. It's who you are. For a moment, she hesitated. What did it mean to embrace every piece of her? The insecurities, the hurt, and the joy intertwined in a tapestry of her existence. It was overwhelming. A terrifying truth to face, but also liberating. Together. She shouted again, and they pressed their palms forward, pushing the resplendent light against Hawthorne's fury. The shadows screamed, a high-pitched wail that rattled through their bones. Hawthorne, fuming, took a step back, his ghastly visage twisting in fury. Fools! You think you can understand darkness? You cannot control what you don't comprehend. But they pressed on, light exploding outward. It clawed away at the edges of the encroaching shadows, revealing flickers of forgotten faces, some weeping, others smiling gently. The warmth enveloped them, coaxing every fearful whisper into silence. Maria felt a profound connection to those who'd come before her. Threads of her childhood danced around her as memories knit themselves together. She saw her mother's pride, her first laugh, the time she stood up to her bullies. Moments she had buried, afraid of their potential to expose vulnerability. The realization washed over her like a wave. Those moments were not her prison, they were her armor. The ethereal figure before her faded, replaced by the kind faces of her past. They nodded. Stand proud, Maria. You are not just the shadows. You are light. The realization hammered in her chest, igniting her spirit. I won't allow the past to control me. I'll stand tall, even against you. She directed the surge of energy back towards the swirling darkness, but as the shadows collapsed further, a deeper truth lurked beneath an unnoticed threat, gathering strength from her hesitation. Maria turned to her friends, heart pounding. We've got this, right? The light began to dim as the shadows began to swirl with renewed intensity. The darkness had not been vanquished, it was shifting tactics. Prepare yourselves, Amanda warned, her eyes wide with anticipation. The chaos expanded explosively, revealing a hidden nexus of shadows that coalesced into an even darker, denser form of virtual embodiment of despair. Maria's breath hastened. What is that? The entity unfurled, towering over them, eyes glowing with ominous wisdom. More than you've realized is waiting to emerge. What other horrors would confront them as they wandered deeper into the abyss? The weight of truth pressed down on them, promising revelations that could shake them to their core. Would they be ready to uncover the mysteries concealed within the darkness? The shadows twisted fiercely, a menacing vortex that loomed over Maria, William, and Amanda. The air crackled with electricity, tension thick enough to slice through. Maria felt her heart pounding, the memories swirling around her as she stood before the embodiment of despair, a chilling mirror reflecting all the struggles she had faced. What do you want from us? She shouted, her voice trembling but resolute. The entity loomed larger, its eyes gleaming with a cold, calculating intelligence. You are the key, Maria. Embrace me, accept your fears, and I will give you control over every shadow you face. The darkness is not just a curse, it's a gift. William stepped forward, his expression fierce. Don't listen to it. It's trying to manipulate you. We've made it this far. Amanda chimed in, her voice high and shaky but inspired. You are not alone in this, Maria. We will face whatever comes together. The shadows roared in protest, swirling violently as their dark whispers curled around her mind. They can't protect you forever. Your light will falter, the shadows will always prevail. Just give in and become whole. But deep in her heart, Maria remembered the faces she had seen, the love of her mother, the laughter between friends, the strength of her own spirit. No. She cried out, voice soaring above the chaos. I won't allow my past to dictate my future. I've learned to fight for who I am, and I've found my strength in love. A blinding light erupted from her core, spurred on by every heartbeat that echoed with resilience. The radiant beams spun and danced around her, showcasing the beautiful chaos of her life, illuminating the darkness with every moment of joy and triumph she had ever experienced. Shadows faltered at the edges, retreating from the brilliance of her spirit. Together, she shouted, beckoning William and Amanda to hold her hand. Their fingers entwined, a powerful triad of unity against the darkness. On 3. 1, 2, 3. As they unleashed their energy, a wave of light surged forth. It didn't just push back the shadows, it swallowed them whole, restoring balance to the chaos. No. This cannot be. The entity's voice shattered, raw and anguished. You've not only defied me, you've defied the very essence of yourself. Maria felt the shadows unravel, the twist of burdens lifted as her power flooded the space around them. I am not afraid of you. I accept every part of myself. She proclaimed, determined and unwavering. The light grew, illuminating every corner until it became a sizzling warmth, wrapping them in security. Forms shifted and shattered, and the space around them morphed, unveiling everything she had buried, the traumas and triumphs alike woven together into a tapestry of truth. As they stood locked in their circle of light, the shadows disintegrated into wisps, fading like ashes in the wind, their whispers disbanding into the ether. The entity disintegrated, a scream fading into silence, replaced by the echo of the truth now embraced, and in that moment, the clearing expanded into a luminescent oasis. Light poured through the trees, reflecting off the surfaces like gilded jewels. The darkness had lost its power, laying bare the beauty and strength Maria had found inside herself. Exhilaration swept through Maria as she looked at William and Amanda, their eyes wide in disbelief, then brimming with pride. "We did it!" she exclaimed, breathless and filled with wonder. William stepped forward, pulling her into an embrace. "You stood tall, Maria. Through all of it." Amanda's smile beamed as she joined the hug. "This is just the beginning. We'll face everything that comes next, together." The warmth wrapped around their shared embrace, grounding them in that newfound unity. And in that moment, Maria understood a journey through darkness only amplified the light within. Together, they could conquer not only their deepest fears but any shadows that loomed. As dawn approached, rays of light crept through the trees, bathing the clearing in gold. Maria inhaled sharply, the air crisp and tinged with hope. They had come through, not just as survivors but as a bonded force ready to take on whatever lay ahead. "Let us go," William said, his voice steady. "The world is waiting for us." The trio stepped forward, leaving behind the remnants of a darker past, their hearts intertwined with a promise to embrace the light in themselves and face the world together, unyielding. As Maria looked back one last time, she felt a sense of closure blossoming in her heart, a testament to resilience forged through courage, love, and unbreakable bonds. This adventure may have been complete, but the tale of Maria, William, and Amanda was just beginning. Now, before you go, I need you to do something important. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And finally, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Your support truly makes a difference.